Welcome to the Pro Ticker Deep Dive.
Good to be here. And honestly, I don't think we could have picked a more volatile week to sit down and talk about this company.
Volatile is one word for it. Historic might be another. Confusing is definitely in the mix.
So that's confusing.
It is February 4th, 2026. We're just, fresh off the Q4 2025 earnings calls. The analyst reactions are pouring in, and there is this whirlwind of news surrounding what is being called Master Plan Part 4.
It really feels like the ground has shifted beneath our feet. For years, we analyzed this company as an automaker. I mean, that's what it was, right?
Right. We looked at gross margins per vehicle. We looked at delivery numbers. We looked at competition from Ford and Toyota.
All the traditional metrics.
Yeah.
But looking at the data we have in front of us today, the whole conversation has just fundamentally changed. It's not about that anymore.
It really has. We aren't just talking in a car company anymore. It feels like we are talking about a fundamental shift in what this entity is.
Exactly.
The car company version of Tesla is effectively being retired, literally in some cases, to make way for a physical AI company.
That is the key phrase, physical AI. We are going to hear that a lot today. And the stakes, I mean, they couldn't be higher. We are watching a $1 trillion bet being placed in real time.
A bet that involves retiring the flagship cars. I mean, the Model S and Model X are getting an honorable discharge, as they're calling it.
Which is just wild to think about. Those were the cars that built the brand.
Absolutely. And they're clearing out that factory space to make room for humanoid robots. And they are spending $20 billion this year alone to reinvent themselves.
$20 billion. It's a number that's hard to wrap your head around. It's a pivot that would terrify most CEOs, most boards.
Oh, for sure.
But the mission here has changed. It is no longer just about electric cars. So for this deep dive, our mission is to unpack this concept of physical AI.
And to really analyze this incredibly risky pivot away from traditional auto manufacturing.
And try to understand why, despite falling car sales, some analysts are actually raising their price targets. It seems completely counterintuitive.
It really does. So let's unpack this. I think we need to start with what the analysts are calling the great decoupling.
Yes. This is, from a financial perspective, this is the whole story right now. Let's look at the numbers from Q4 2025.
Okay.
Revenue actually beat expectations. It came in at $24.9 billion. That sounds great, right?
Sounds like a win. You beat on revenue, the stock should go up. Simple.
But then you look at the actual vehicle deliveries. They missed expectations. And not only did they miss, they are declining.
That's the part that's so jarring. For the full year 2025, deliveries were down to 1.636 million.
Which is a number that, 5 years ago would have seemed enormous.
Yeah.
But for a company that's been valued on growth, year-over-year growth.
It's a screeching halt. A decline is the opposite of growth.
Exactly. And normally if a car manufacturer, a Ford, a GM, a Toyota sees sales volume drop year-over-year, the stock gets crushed. It's a clear signal.
It signals demand issues. It signals competition's catching up. All bad things.
All bad things. But look at the stock. It is holding and in many cases rising since the news. So why?
That's the decoupling, right? That's the core of it.
Precisely. The market has decoupled the valuation of the company from the car business. Mizuho Securities put out a note that really, I think, crystallized this for a lot of people.
What was their take?
They're saying that investors are no longer pricing in steel chassis and rubber tires. They aren't looking at the margin on a sedan anymore. They are pricing in silicon and software. The future.
So there are basically two completely different valuations happening at the same time for the same company.
Yes. And it creates this massive valuation gap. If you look at Tesla strictly as a car company, competitor to BYD or BMW, it's probably worth about $400 billion.
And that would be a generous valuation for a premium automaker at that scale.
A very generous valuation. But the market cap is hovering near $1.5 trillion.
What?
So that gap, that extra $1.1 trillion, is entirely based on a future that doesn't fully exist yet. It is a bet. It's all based on physical AI.
Which brings us to Master Plan Part 4. This isn't just a product update, it's a whole new philosophy.
A new guiding philosophy, exactly. It was released late last year. And the mission statement itself has shifted.
The old one was, what, to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy?
Yes, which was a very clear, very hardware-focused goal. Build solar, build batteries, build EVs. You can measure that.
You can count the cars and the solar panels.
Right. The new mission is creating amazing abundance.
Amazing abundance. It sounds a bit A bit utopian, doesn't it? A little vague.
It does, but the logic behind it is rooted in economics. The idea is if you can solve physical AI, and that means AI that moves and interacts with the physical world, not just a chatbot on a screen, you effectively drive the cost of labor towards zero.
And when the cost of labor drops, the cost of goods and services plummet.
And abundance goes up. That's the theory.
So this isn't just about software like ChatGPT writing a poem or creating an image. This is about software that can drive a car or fold laundry or work on an assembly line.
Exactly. It's moving atoms, not just bits. That's the key distinction. And Tesla is making what some are calling a binary bet on this.
Binary meaning it either works spectacularly or it fails completely.
That's it. They are betting the farm on two things: robotaxis, specifically this new vehicle called the Cybercab, and humanoid robots, the Optimus project.
There is no middle ground anymore. They aren't trying to just sell slightly more cars next year. They are going all in on full autonomy.
And that's a perfect transition. Let's talk about the first leg of that bet, the hardware of autonomy. Let's dive into the Cybercab.
I still can't quite get over the description of this vehicle. Two-seater, no steering wheel, no pedals.
It is a radical departure. I mean, it signals that this isn't a car for you to own and drive. It is an appliance. It's a utility for transportation.
And the timeline they're putting out there is incredibly aggressive. Production is slated to ramp up in April 2026.
That is just a couple of months away.
It's imminent. I mean, for a totally new vehicle platform with no controls, that's ambitious.
It is. But the economics are what have the analysts so excited. The manufacturing cost is targeted to be under $30,000.
Okay, that's cheap to build.
Very.
Yeah.
But the operating cost, this is the number to remember, is estimated at 40 cents per mile.
$0.40 per mile. I mean, just compare that to taking an Uber today. Or even owning your own car when you factor in gas, insurance, maintenance.
It is significantly cheaper than both. At 40 cents per mile, the economic argument for owning a private car starts to completely crumble for anyone living in a city. It just doesn't make sense anymore.
And this isn't just a paper plan, right? We have real-world data coming in now. The unsupervised rides officially launched in Austin, Texas in late January.
That was a massive milestone. Unsupervised means no safety driver, no human ready to grab the wheel.
Because there is no wheel to grab.
Because there is no wheel. It is just the machine and the road. And that's a huge step towards regulatory approval and public trust.
But the business model is shifting too. And this is something that hit the news cycle hard. The date is apparently February 14th, 2026.
Valentine's Day, what a gift.
The end of the one-time purchase. We are seeing reports that as of that date, the $8,000 upfront option for full self-driving, or FSD, is being removed.
This is it. This is the SaaS, software as a service revolution, finally truly hitting the auto industry. We've been talking about it for years, but this is the moment.
So instead of paying $8,000 once, when you buy the car,
You pay $99 a month for as long as you use it.
for the company, this is brilliant. The old model was, as some analysts call it, a commodity trap.
Yeah, you sell a piece of hardware, a car, you get paid once. That's low margin, high effort, lots of capital. But a subscription, that is high margin, recurring revenue. It's the holy grail of business models.
And the numbers are already getting huge. They currently have 1.1 million active FSD subscribers. That's up 38% year over year.
And just do the math on that. 1.1 million people times $99.
That's roughly $109 million in monthly cash flow.
Per month. That is over $1 billion a year in pure or near pure margin revenue. It's a money printer, and it completely changes the financial profile of the company.
It changed the valuation from a car company multiple to a tech company multiple, like you said. But they aren't the only ones doing this. We have to talk about the elephant in the room here, Waymo.
You absolutely have to. Waymo is the gold standard right now. We cannot ignore that. In 2025, they completed 14 million driverless trips.
14 million.
They have over 1 million weekly rides now. They're a real, functioning, and growing robotaxi business.
Those are incredible numbers. So why is so much of the market's future bet on Tesla and not on Waymo?
It all comes down to the fundamental approach, the technology. Waymo uses a very, let's call it a belt and suspenders, sensor-heavy stack. They have expensive LiDAR, radar, and they rely on building these incredibly high-definition maps of cities.
The geofencing.
Exactly. They have to painstakingly map every street, every curb, every stop sign before they can drive in it. It works perfectly within that fence, but it is very expensive and very slow to scale to a new city.
And Tesla's approach.
Tesla is betting everything on vision only. just cameras,
Mm.
like a human. We use our two eyes. They're trying to replicate that.
So the gamble is that if they can solve that last 1% of edge cases with just
And
cameras.
they win. They win on cost, and they win on scale.
Yeah.
They can deploy their entire fleet to any city in the world with a software update. No mapping required.
But if they can't solve it, if the cameras just aren't enough for, a weird snowstorm or a bizarre construction zone.
Then Waymo's sensor-heavy, slow and steady approach wins, and Tesla's grand vision is in very serious trouble. It's a huge technical bet.
So how do they actually plan to solve that last 1%? This gets us into the brain of the operation, doesn't it?
This is the really fascinating part. This is section 3, the end-to-end AI revolution. This is a technical shift, but it has these huge, sweeping implications.
Okay, so explain end-to-end for us, because usually software is written in modules, piece by piece, right?
Correct. The old autonomy stack, and what a lot of competitors still use, was modular. You had a team of engineers writing code for perception. Is that a red light? Is that a pedestrian?
Okay, step 1, see the world.
Then you had another team writing code for planning. Okay, if it's a red light, then the plan is to stop. And another team for control, apply X amount of pressure to the brake pedal. It was all rules-based.
Thousands and thousands of engineers writing if-then statements for every possible scenario.
Exactly. And that creates a massive bottleneck. You can't write a rule for every possible weird thing that happens on a road. A bouncing ball, a person in a chicken suit. You can't code for all of it.
You're always chasing the edge cases.
Always. The new FSD, so version 14 and beyond, they scrapped all that. It is a single neural network.
So it's just one big brain.
One big brain. Think of it like this. It takes raw pixels in from the cameras, and it outputs steering, brake, and accelerator commands. There's no intermediate code written by humans saying, that's a stop sign.
So how does it learn what to do?
It learns by watching. It has been trained on billions of frames of video from the entire Tesla fleet. It just watches what good human drivers do over and over and over.
It's not learning rules, it's learning behavior.
It's learning human behavior. There is a great analogy that's been floating around about a squirrel that really clarifies this.
Oh, right, the squirrel. I've heard this one.
In the old rules-based system, you'd have to write code to identify a squirrel, then determine its velocity, predict its path, and then decide if it's a threat. It's very rigid.
Not a lot of steps.
But a human driver, you see a squirrel near the curb and you ease off the accelerator.
Yeah.
Instinctively. You anticipate it might run out.
We anticipate, we don't calculate trajectories.
Exactly. The end-to-end AI learns that anticipation from watching us. It learns that erratic furry movement near the curb equals potential danger, slow down, without a programmer ever typing those words. It allows for this human-like fluidity.
And to power this massive learning process, they have built what is being called the 3-computer architecture.
This is the infrastructure behind the intelligence. It's not one thing, it's a pipeline. 3 distinct stages.
Let's walk through them. Computer number 1.
Computer 1 is for training. This is the massive supercomputing cluster, the custom-built Dojo supercomputer, and also massive clusters of NVIDIA H100s.
So these are the giant brains in the data center.
Exactly. Their only job is to crunch all that video data from the fleet and teach the model, to forge the brain, basically.
Okay, what's computer 2?
Computer 2 is for simulation. They call it the virtual proving ground. Once you have a trained model, you don't just put it in a car and hope for the best.
No, that would be,
Very bad. So they use this to simulate billions of miles of driving, focusing on the most difficult edge cases. Imagine trying to train a car to handle a child running out from behind a truck on an icy road.
You can't stage that in real life. It's impossible and unsafe.
But you can simulate it 1,000,000 times in the Matrix with 1,000,000 tiny variations until the AI gets it right every single time. They train the AI in the virtual world before it ever touches a real car.
And then there's computer 3.
Computer 3 is inference. That is the chip inside the car or inside the robot. It's the one that has to do the thinking in the real world.
It takes the model that was trained in the data center and tested in the simulation.
And executes it. It runs the model in real time to make driving decisions.
And there is a new, much more powerful chip coming for this, the AI-5.
The AI-5, this is a beast of a chip. It's slated for 2027 models. And from what we're hearing, it draws up to 800 watts of power.
800 watts. For a computer in a car, that's more than a high-end gaming PC.
It requires its own liquid cooling system. It's a massive step up from the current hardware. But it has to be. It's designed specifically to run these huge, computationally intensive end-to-end models.
And speaking of massive models, we have to touch on the XAI ecosystem, the $2 billion investment.
This is where the corporate strategy gets really, really interesting and a little confusing for investors. Tesla, the public company, invested $2 billion into xAI, which is Elon's separate private AI company.
Which raised a lot of eyebrows, questions about corporate governance.
It did. But the strategic synergy is clear, if you believe the vision. Tesla makes the body, the cars, the robots, the physical hardware. xAI makes the mind, specifically the Grok large language model.
So it's not just about driving. Grok adds reasoning, understanding.
Right? It has reasoning capability. So if you merge them, you don't just have a car that can see a red light. You could have a robot that you can tell, hey, go into the kitchen and get me a drink, and it understands what a kitchen is, what a drink is, how to open a fridge.
It connects language to physical action.
And this leads to the grand unification theory. There are rumors, analysts like Dan Ives are talking about it a lot, of an eventual merger between Tesla, SpaceX, and xAI.
A vertically integrated space and Earth AI giant.
Imagine that. SpaceX satellites providing the constant global data link. Tesla providing the millions of physical agents on the ground, the cars and robots. And xAI providing the central reasoning brain. It is a technology stack that no other company on Earth could even dream of matching.
That is mind-boggling to think about. But let's bring it back down to Earth for a minute, back to the factory floor. Because we talked about the Model S and X being retired. Why are they doing that now?
To make room for Optimus. This is section 4 of our dive, and it's maybe the most tangible sign of this pivot.
The sacrifice.
It really is a sacrifice. The Model S and Model X are iconic. They put Tesla on the map. They proved electric cars could be cool and fast. But they're winding down production at the Fremont factory. They are literally clearing the floor space.
And what goes in that space?
A dedicated mass production line for the Optimus humanoid robot. They are targeting the production of 1 million robots annually from that one facility.
1 million robots a year. That number just sounds like science fiction.
It sounds impossible. But remember, Musk has claimed that 80% of Tesla's long-term value will eventually come from Optimus.
Yeah.
So in their mind, they have to go for
Yeah,
it.
they're building them like cars. This is the part I find fascinating.
That is the key differentiator. They are manufacturing physical AI. This isn't a boutique robotics lab building a few dozen robots by hand.
Oh.
They are using gigacasting, the same technology they developed to cast huge sections of car bodies to cast the robot's torso. They're leveraging the entire automotive supply chain to get actuators and motors and sensors at a scale and cost that traditional robotics companies can't touch.
It's the difference between building a robot in a lab and building it on a high-speed assembly line.
Right. And there's this really interesting comparison to be made to the Android versus Apple war in smartphones.
No.
NVIDIA is building something called Project GR00T, which is essentially the Android for robotics, a general-purpose foundation model and hardware platform that any other company can use to build their own robot.
You're providing the operating system, basically.
Exactly. Tesla's doing the Apple thing. They build the hardware, they build the software, they control the AI models. It's a completely closed, vertically integrated ecosystem.
Two very different philosophies on how to build the future of robotics.
And it's not clear yet which one will win.
But all of this, the supercomputers, the new chips, retooling factories, it costs an insane amount of money.
Which brings us to Section 5, the financial reality.
The CapEx explosion. The spending is jumping to over $20 billion in 2026.
It's a huge number. But, as they say, you have to spend money to make money, or in this case, to completely change the world.
So where is it all going?
It's going into those 3 buckets. The data centers, what they call Cortex, for training the AI. It's going into the development and fabrication of the new AI-5 chip.
Yeah.
And it's going into retooling the factories for the Cybercab and for Optimus.
And the analysts, are they scared of this level of spending?
Yeah.
Or are they buying into the vision?
It's completely split. Some are absolutely terrified. But the bulls, like Mizuho, just raised their price target to $540. They are calling 2026 the golden year.
The golden year. Why?
Because this is the year, in their view, where the physical AI thesis is proven or disproven. If it starts to work, if the unsupervised rides in Austin expand, if the Cybercab production starts...
Then the company gets re-rated.
Exactly. It stops trading like a car company with a 5 to 10 times earnings multiple, and it starts trading like a high-growth AI tech company with a 50 to 100 times earnings multiple. The potential upside is enormous.
But there is a very real bear case here.
Absolutely. And it's simple. Execution risk. The valuation gap we talked about earlier is a double-edged sword.
If the robots are delayed, if the cybercab can't solve that last 1% of driving.
Then the stock has 50%, maybe more, downside. It falls all the way back to being valued as just a car maker. And a car maker with slowing growth at that.
And as a car maker, they now have very serious competition.
The BYD factor. We have to acknowledge them. BYD delivered 2.26 million EVs in 2025. They officially won the volume war. They are the biggest EV maker in the world now.
So did Tesla lose the EV war?
I think it's more accurate to say they surrendered to the volume crown to chase the AI crown. It was a strategic choice. They decided they can't win on volume against BYD, so they're changing the game entirely.
A risky move. And finally, there's the regulatory risk, specifically China.
The Great Wall. This is a huge hurdle. For a long time, there was optimism that FSD would be approved in China in early 2026.
Which would be a massive market.
The biggest. But recent reports suggest China is blocking the approval. The concerns are around data security, the cross-border flow of all that video data the cars collect.
So if Tesla gets shut out of the Chinese AI and robotaxi market, that is a major blow to the global growth story.
It's a huge blow. It puts a cap on their total addressable market. It's a major variable that's still unresolved.
So let's try to bring it all together, a synthesis of this deep dive.
Okay. Tesla is deleting the steering wheel. They are retiring its flagship, iconic cars. They're spending $20 billion to turn cars into robots and to build actual robots to work in factories.
It is the full-on transition from a hardware company to a physical AI company.
And for you, the listener, trying to make sense of all this, there are really only two things to watch this year. Forget the quarterly car delivery numbers for now.
What are they?
First, watch the actions per disengagement metric in the Austin Robotaxi pilot. How often does the system fail? How quickly is that number going to zero?
And the second thing?
Watch the April production ramp of the Cybercab. Does it happen? Is it real? Can they actually build this thing at scale?
Those are the numbers that matter now.
Everything else is just noise.
Before we sign off, here is a final provocative thought for everyone to chew on. If the goal here is amazing abundance,
Right.
where robots do most of the labor and cars drive themselves for 40 cents a mile, what happens to the entire concept of private ownership?
That's the big question, isn't it? If transport is that cheap and that available on demand, why would you own a car? Why would you pay for parking, insurance, maintenance?
So we might be witnessing not just the end of Tesla as a car company, but the beginning of the end of the private car era entirely.
It's a fundamental reordering of society. A provocative thought indeed.
Something to think about. Thanks for joining us on the Pro Ticker Deep Dive.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.